30 doctors failed to save a billionaire's life. Then this poor cleaner discovered the hidden, life-changing secret. In the pulsing heart of Chicago, chaos reigned in the emergency room. Sam, a humble janitor, gripped his mop like a weapon against the tide of urgency around him. Just hours earlier, he had been quietly scrubbing the glittering floors, dreaming of a day when he could afford better care for his ailing mother. His efforts usually went unnoticed, but today was different. The room buzzed with panic as the city's most esteemed doctors fought for the life of a billionaire, a man whose wealth was a lifeline to the powerful. Sam's chest tightened as he watched them, 30 elite physicians desperately attempting to mend a heart that had betrayed its owner. He felt a chill run down his spine when the flurry of activity came to a grinding halt. In that tragic moment, Sam witnessed what seemed to shatter a city life slipping away, leaving behind disbelief and despair. With the sirens quieting, chaos receded, and the emergency room returned to its routine. Yet, Sam couldn't shake the weight of grim reality. He moved cautiously, mopping the slick floors, but his eyes were drawn to the now-abandoned room of the deceased billionaire. Curiosity churned in his gut, urging him deeper into the chambers of despair. He had always been a dreamer, imagining a world beyond his cramped apartment, where shadows no longer danced across his mother's pale face. As he cleaned, Sam noticed a file lodged awkwardly in the corner, its cover faded and dust-laden. For reasons he couldn't explain, he flipped it open. Words like rare condition leapt off the page, chilling his blood. The detail had been dismissed, overlooked by the team of doctors who had failed to save that life. His pulse raced as realization dawned on him. This was information that could have changed everything. But whispers soon echoed through the janitorial staff. What does a cleaner know? They sneered, casting Sam as an interloper in a world marked by privilege and power. Judgment flooded around him, making the already stifling workplace unbearable. Yet through this churning storm of ridicule, memories of his mother surfaced. She had battled diabetes for years, and her sacrifices resonated within him. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Pushing through the laughter and scorn, Sam mustered courage to expose the truth. He rallied locals, igniting a fire of community support, their voices united against a system that favored wealth over worth. Sam's heart raced with hope as he shared his story, reminding them of the invisible hands that keep the city ticking. Yet as the seeds of his bravery took root, the threats grew heavier, and doubt clawed at his insides. Standing on the precipice of change, Sam confronted a moral fork in the road. Would he speak out and risk everything? Or would he surrender to silence, a janitor lost among the halls of the elite? As he looked into the eyes of his community, he knew they were all holding their breath with him, waiting for a miracle. In this moment, one question loomed: could a humble janitor truly alter the course of fate in a world that often overlooked the heartbeats of its unsung heroes? The morning sun spilled through the windows, washing the emergency room in golden light. It felt strangely peaceful after the storm of chaos the night before. But for Sam, this calmness was more like the silence before an overwhelming wave. He paced the narrow janitor's closet, his heart heavy with the weight of what he learned. That file was no mere accident. It was a beacon of hope shrouded in the shadows of ignorance. That he couldn't shake the image of the billionaire's lifeless body, nor the empty silence that followed. A nagging thought gripped him: if those 30 doctors couldn't save him with their knowledge, what made him think he could do anything? Yet, the whispers of encouragement from the community still echoed in his mind. They believed in him. They saw something he didn't. With a newfound determination, Sam stepped outside. The streets buzzed with life as the frustrations of the past day melted away. He felt drawn, almost compelled, to share the findings. Perhaps somewhere deep down, he knew this wasn't just about him. It was about every struggling soul in the city, especially his mother. "Sam, you can't be serious." Lydia, one of his co-workers, shouted as she tapped her clipboard nervously against her thigh. The fear in her eyes mirrored the doubts swimming in his mind. You really think you can take this to the media? You could lose your job. The thought echoed in his mind, unsettling him. But what was a job compared to the chance to make a difference? He squared his shoulders, heart racing. Lydia, if I stay quiet now, it wouldn't just be my job I lose. It'd be my chance to change something. To help those just like my mom. She looked at him for a long moment, then sighed. You're braver than I am. Just be careful, okay? The next few days blurred into a whirlwind of phone calls and apprehensive meetings. Sam sought out a small local news reporter, Mia, who had a reputation for fighting for the little guy. Their initial conversation was filled with skepticism, her brows furrowing as he recounted the events of that fateful night. But as he told her about the rare condition hidden in that file, he saw a flicker of interest spark in her eyes. This could be groundbreaking, she whispered, tapping her pen against her notebook. But it's going to take evidence. We need to dig deeper. Sam felt a rush of hope, but also fear. What if they uncovered something dangerous? What if the powerful men behind the billionaire came after him? The thought sent shivers down his spine, but with each passing moment, he realized he had already stepped too far into the light to turn back. Days turned into weeks, as Sam and Mia searched for the truth hidden in layers of paper and secrets. With every fact they unearthed, the stakes rose higher. He attended community meetings, fueled by a newfound passion, his voice gaining strength as his fellow neighbors rallied behind him. Their stories echoed his, igniting a fire that flickered brighter with each whispered tale of loss. One fateful evening, after a particularly fiery meeting, Sam received a message, a threat, veiled yet clear. Stay out of this. You have no idea what you're getting into. The cold wash of dread enveloped him, yet he could not back down. Glancing at the window, he saw neighbors talking, families gathered, and he realized something important. He was no longer just a janitor. He was a voice. He was hope, but fear clawed at the edges of his resolve. Who would protect him if this spiraled out of control? As he prepared for a meeting with Mia to uncover more leads, he felt a knot tighten in his stomach. What if the world he sought to change turned against him? The question weighed heavily on his mind. Was he ready to face the consequences of challenging the powerful elite? Outside his window, a storm began to brew, reflecting the tumult within. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of the real reason he was fighting. The echoes of his mother's struggles reverberated through him, and despite the uncertainty ahead, he tightened his grip on the hope he now bore. In that moment, he knew he couldn't stop. Not now. Not ever. As he prepared for what was to come, one thing lingered. Would he be able to stand up when the storm finally broke? Sam sat at the small cafe table, absently stirring his coffee as the chatter around him blurred into a muffled hum. Mia informed him they would meet soon, but he was lost in his thoughts, weighed down by the foreboding message and the pounding of his heart. Each second felt like a countdown, ticking away his chances to bring light to the truth. The storm is coming, huh? A passerby remarked as the wind howled outside. Sam looked up, surprised that someone would notice his distracted demeanor. The stranger issued a friendly nod before disappearing into the bustle of city life, leaving Sam with an aching realization. He was in deep, and there was no escaping it. Just as he took a sip, his phone buzzed with a message. It was from Mia. I found something. Meet me at the library in 20 minutes. His heart surged. This could be the piece of evidence that opened the floodgates to everything he hoped for. He pushed aside his fears and hurriedly finished his drink. The library felt dim compared to the chaos outside. From the polished marble floors to the towering shelves packed with books, it was a sanctuary of knowledge and secrets. As Sam made his way through the aisles, a familiar figure emerged. Mia was sitting at a far corner table, surrounded by files. I found records, she began, her voice urgent but low. Insurance claims, medical files. It seems their essay pattern. She glanced around, ensuring they remained concealed from prying eyes. These doctors, they didn't just fail with the billionaire. There are other cases that have been buried. Every nerve in Sam's body pulsed with a mix of anxiety and excitement. What do you mean? Are they all related to that rare condition? Mia nodded, her eyes wide with determination. If we can prove this pattern, we can expose them. It's bigger than just negligence, Sam. It's about accountability. But shadows of doubt crept back in. Mia, what if they come after us? They might have resources to silence the truth. She leaned in closer, exuding a fierce resolve. "We can raise awareness, gather testimonies. We're not alone in this. Look at the community you've rallied. They trust you." The lifeline she offered provided a fresh wave of courage. Sam glanced down at the spread of papers documenting failures and lies. Each page fueled the fire inside him. He couldn't sit back and let fear dictate his actions. "I'm in," he said, and the words felt like a commitment to something far greater than himself. With renewed energy, they began devising a plan. Sam would reach out to those in the community. They could share their stories, their pain. With every voice united, the truth would erupt like a dam bursting, and the powerful would feel the ground shake beneath their feet. But as excitement mingled with purpose, so did the looming threat. Each page they turned felt like an escape from the storm outside, yet a greater storm was brewing. Hours later, after going through case after case, Sam felt the walls closing in. The librarian's harsh whisper broke through his thoughts. "You two need to leave. The library is closing soon." They stood up, gathering the scattered documents as unease settled over them. Just as they stepped outside, a figure loomed in the shadows across the street. Sam's breath hitched. The man's expression was hard to read, but the way he watched them sent a chill down Sam's spine. "Do you see him?" Sam whispered to Mia, pointing discreetly. She squinted, the look on her face shifting to concern. "We should go quickly." Adrenaline surged through them both as they swiftly made their way down the street, the figure trailing a safe distance behind. Sam's heart raced, buzzed with fear and exhilaration. He couldn't shake the feeling they were being hunted. What would happen if the truth finally came to light? Or worse, what if they lost everything in the process? As they rounded the corner, Sam stole a look back. The figure hesitated but then turned, vanishing into the shadows. Relief washed over him, but doubt lingered. Would this be the last time they felt safe? As tensions within him grew, he knew he had to prepare for what lay ahead. The fight wasn't just for the truth anymore. It was a battle for their lives. And deep down, he wondered if he was ready for the consequences of the truth when it came crashing down. A storm was brewing, both from within and outside. Would he have the strength to weather it? The next morning, Sam awoke to sunlight filtering through his curtains, casting warm light across his cluttered room. Yet, despite the quiet beauty outside, anxiety gripped him like a vice. His phone buzzed persistently on the nightstand. He snatched it up and saw a message from Mia. "We need to meet again. It's urgent." He felt that familiar knot tighten in his stomach. What more could they have uncovered? He quickly dressed, pushing away the nagging fears that kept whispering in the back of his mind. The weight of his commitment pressed on him. He had promised to stand firm in their battle for the truth. Sam grabbed a granola bar on the way out, his mind racing with possibilities as he entered the cafe again. The scene felt strangely familiar, yet charged with tension. The clatter of cups and the smell of freshly brewed coffee did little to calm his racing heart. He spotted Mia at a corner table, her face drawn, fingers tapping anxiously against a stack of papers. "Hey," she greeted, her voice a mix of urgency and worry. "I had a lead. I spoke to one of the families affected. It's worse than we thought." Sam sank into the chair across from her, bracing himself. "What did they say?" "There are allegations of more negligence, maybe even cover-ups. The families didn't just lose loved ones. They were coerced into silence. They had no idea what was really happening," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "How could they do that?" Sam's brows knitted together. How could anyone look families in the eye knowing what they did? Mia leaned in, her face serious. "I think we're dealing with something systematic, possibly even criminal. These doctors are part of something much bigger." The implications hit him hard. This wasn't just about a few failed treatments. It was a web of deceit designed to protect powerful people at the expense of others' lives. "Have any of them spoken out?" Sam asked, the weight of the world pressing down on his shoulders. "We can't just leave it like this. We need testimonies. We need proof." Mia nodded, her green eyes glistening with hope. "I'm working on it. But they're scared. We need to find a way to keep them safe." Sam shifted anxiously in his seat. What if we set up a community meeting? Gather everyone who wants to speak out. It could give them strength. Her face brightened. That's it. We can create a safe space, something that feels like solidarity. We can help them understand they're not alone. Just as excitement filled the air, Sam felt his phone vibrating again. Another message. This one was different, short and cryptic. "Stop digging. You don't know what you're up against. His face went pale, and Mia's expression shifted, confusion flashing across her features. What is it? Someone wants us to back off. I can't let that happen, Mia. I can't let them intimidate us. We have to push forward. The determination swelled in his chest, yet the danger loomed like a dark cloud overhead. Mia reached across the table, grabbing his hand. We have to be careful. You know we can't go in unprepared. Prepared or not, we don't have a choice, he said, squeezing her hand for strength. If we don't fight for them, who will? They spent the next few hours crafting a plan, arranging the specifics of the meeting, all while the world outside rushed on, oblivious to the storm gathering around them. Sam could feel the tension creeping in, prickling at his skin, urging him to stay alert. And just as they were ready to leave, Sam glanced out the window. His heart dropped. The same figure in the shadows stood across the street again, watching. This time, though, a violent anger flared within him, a feeling of protection for the families they would soon help. Let us go, he said to Mia, pushing the door open. But even as he stepped outside, a thought gnawed at him. What if this was only the beginning? They were stepping into a fight that could change everything. Would they truly be prepared for the backlash? The storm was still brewing and about to break. Sam and Mia stepped out into the bustling street, where life seemed to carry on, completely unaware of the chaos they were about to plunge into. The figure lingering across the street hadn't moved, and Sam's skin prickled with unease. Who is that? Mia whispered, her voice tight. I don't know, Sam replied, narrowing his eyes. But they've been watching us. He racked his brain, trying to recall any details. The figure was perhaps in their 40s, dressed in a nondescript dark coat that made them blend seamlessly into the shadows. Sam felt a rush of adrenaline as the implications of such surveillance sunk in this was real danger, not just a story to be uncovered. Keep moving, Sam urged, trying to distract them both from the growing uncertainty. They picked up the pace, each step feeling heavier than the last. We need to get to our meeting point. Mia nodded, her expression energized but anxious. Did you think about what you'll say to everyone? They'll be scared, and we need to give them hope. Yeah, I know, he replied, trying to find his footing in this new reality. But I want them to feel like they're part of something bigger, that we're not just another voice. We're a community. As they turned the corner, Sam spotted a park up ahead, its benches worn but inviting. He knew it was a good place for the meeting, open yet secluded enough to keep prying eyes away. He also knew they didn't have time to lose. The thrill of hope surged through him, but the shadows loomed ever closer, threatening to overshadow their plans. Do you think they received my invitation? Mia had sent an open message to the families they had approached, but the fear of retribution sprawled across her face. They'll come. They need to speak out as much as we need to help them, Sam said, his confidence battling against the apprehension in his chest. When they reached the park, they found a small group already gathered, a mixture of familiar faces and new ones, all bearing a look of uncertainty. Sam, Mia, one mother, eyes puffy from tears, rushed toward them, pulling them both into an embrace. We're so scared. Can we really trust you? Sam felt the weight of her fear pierce through him. It was a fear he understood all too well, and he needed to find the right words. Trust is built. We know what's at stake, and we're here for you, he assured her, scanning the crowd. What we're tackling is bigger than all of us, but together, we can find the truth. Together, we can stand against this. Mia clasped her hands, urging everyone to listen. The mix of determination and vulnerability in their voices stirred something in the group, a flicker of hope igniting amidst the uncertainty. Just as Sam began to lay out his vision for their fight, his phone buzzed once more. He hesitated before glancing down. It was a message from the same unknown number. You have no idea who you're dealing with. This ends now. His heart raced, and he looked at Mia, who caught his eye, her expression questioning. The tension wrapped around them like a tight coil, pushing them toward a defining moment. Hey, he shouted, raising his voice to draw the attention of the crowd. I just got a threat. They want us to back off. But we can't. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. Mia stepped closer, her eyes reflecting the mix of fear and defiance. This is how they control us, by making us afraid to speak out. But we'll stand together. Sam felt a powerful swell of emotion. This was the moment they had all been waiting for, the chance to unite. Yet deep down, a gnawing thought lingered. Could they really face what lurked in the shadows? He steadied his breath and took a step forward, ready to transform fear into action. But even as he did, a distant roar of a siren echoed through the park, slicing through the murmur of their gathering. "Things are about to change," he said quietly to Mia, his heart pounding louder than ever. And out of the corner of his eye, he saw that figure moving swiftly toward them. What were their next steps? Would they really be ready for the storm about to break? The figure was tall and hooded, and as they drew closer, an electric tension crackled through the air. Sam's heart raced, his instincts screaming that this was no ordinary stranger. "Stay behind me," he murmured to Mia, putting up a brave front for the group. He felt the eyes of the crowd on him, an unspoken trust, and he didn't want to let them down. "Who are you?" Sam demanded, his voice steady despite the thrumming in his chest. The figure paused, their face hidden in the shadows. "You're meddling in things you don't understand," a deep voice boomed, slicing through the crowd's whispers. "You think unity will save you? You're deluding yourselves." A chill ran down Sam's spine. "We're not afraid," he shouted back, though doubt flickered in his voice. Behind him, Mia squeezed his arm, her presence grounding. "We're here for the truth," she added, her voice clear. There was something in her words that stoked the flame of courage among the gathered families. The figure took a step forward, their presence dwarfing the hesitant crowd. "Truth? The truth is that you are already in over your heads," they said, voice dripping with disdain. "You've just put a target on your backs." Around them, murmurs of concern exploded. Sam turned to face the crowd, breathing deeply. It was a challenge. How could he inspire confidence when uncertainty loomed so heavily? "Listen to me," he pleaded, stepping slightly away from Mia to address the group. "Fear is what keeps us apart, but together, we can shatter it. We have to fight for each other. We have to fight for what's right." The gathered families looked uneasy, but Sam's determination was seeping into them. He could see it in their faces. They wanted to believe. But then came a loud crack overhead, a flash of light slicing through the gathering shadows. Sam flinched as the sirens grew louder, accompanied by the growl of engines. "They're coming," he whispered, the threat suddenly palpable. "Everyone, we need to disperse. Don't draw any attention," Mia urged, her voice urgent. The fear returned with renewed force, threatening to drown out their flicker of hope. As the crowd began to scatter, a voice called out from the shadows. "You can't escape your past. It will always find you." Sam's mind raced, piecing together the warning. Who was this figure? What did they know about his past? The chaos around them felt suffocating as people fled in every direction. "Just go," he urged Mia, pulling her back to face the figure. "We need to stand our ground." She hesitated, her eyes wide with panic. "What if they come for us? We should leave." He could sense the urgency in her words, but something deep inside him roared back. "What if we don't? If we run now, we're letting them win." Mia took a deep breath, her face a mix of fear and resolve. "Okay, but what do we do?" The figure shifted, a humorless smile ghosting across their lips. "You think you can stop what has already begun? This is just a taste and appetizer for what has to come." Suddenly, the air was heavy with uncertainty. Sam felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him. There was no turning back. "Trust each other," he said, casting his gaze across the park where people had once stood united. "This fight is ours. We want to be silenced." But the figure let out a low chuckle, a sound devoid of warmth. "Very well. Enjoy your fleeting unity. It won't last long." With that, the figure slipped back into the shadows, leaving Sam and Mia exposed in a park that felt all too small and vulnerable now. As the wailing sirens drew closer, it dawned on Sam that this was just the beginning. How could they possibly prepare for the storm of turmoil that was about to be unleashed? Mia tightened her grip on his arm. "We won't let this end us. We have to plan, and we have to act before it's too late," she said, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and fierce determination. "It's time to take the fight to them," he responded, a plan already igniting in his mind. But what would that fight look like? And would they even survive the consequences? The looming question echoed as the sirens blared, leaving them at the edge of a precipice. The noise of the sirens grew louder, echoing in Sam's ears like a relentless drumbeat. Panic spread through the park, and the families who had once looked to him were now fleeing in every direction. their shadows merging with the encroaching darkness. "Sam, we need to go," Mia urged, her voice sharp with urgency. He could see the fear in her eyes, but he felt something rise within him, a determination to stand firm when everything around them was crumbling. "No," he replied, shaking his head. "We can't let them intimidate us. Not now." He scanned the chaotic scene, spotting children being ushered away from the frenzy, parents clutching hands tightly as they bolted for safety. Each frantic face fueled his resolve. If they ran now, they could lose everything they had built together. "Listen," he said, leaning closer to Mia, "we have to find the heart of this. If they think they can scare us, they're wrong. We need to know what they're planning." Mia swallowed hard, glancing toward the shadows where the figure had disappeared. "But where do we even start? We're just us." Her voice trembled, a crack in her determined facade, but Sam could sense a flicker of hope still alive in her. "We start by gathering information. We need allies. If we reach out to others, maybe we can turn the tide." And just like that, a plan began to take form in Sam's mind. They would leverage the very fear that threatened to break them. He turned, scanning the scattering crowd, seeking out the familiar faces of their neighbors, friends who had stood by them through thick and thin. "Let us rally them. We need to stick together, even if it's just a handful of us," he urged. "We can't let this darkness sow division." Mia nodded, catching onto his vision. "Okay, we find whoever remains and build from there. But how do we even know who to trust?" Sam thought for a moment, a solid answer sparking in his mind. "We trust each other. The ones who believe in what we can accomplish together. The ones who want to run when the pressure rises." With renewed fire in her eyes, Mia straightened. "All right, then let us do it. We start with the ones who stayed the longest. Those families in the park with us during the day." Before she could finish, a loud crash shattered the air. The noise turned heads, a sudden wave of dread washing over them. A vehicle sped into the park, tires screeching against the pavement, headlights cutting through the twilight. Sam's heart raced. The moment of truth had arrived, and the figures within the vehicle were anything but friendly. "Get back," Sam yelled, pulling Mia behind a nearby tree for cover. Their breaths came in sharp gasps as they peered cautiously around the trunk, watching the vehicle come to a halt. Doors swung open, and armed figures poured out, clad in black and bathed in menacing silhouettes. "Where are you?" One of them barked, voice firm, eyes scanning the darkness. "We know you're here." Fear coiled in Sam's stomach, but he forced himself to think clearly. They had to act, and fast. But how? They were outnumbered, and the very unity he had hoped to build was now on the brink of being obliterated. Mia's eyes flickered toward him, filled with a mix of fear and determination. "What do we do now?" His mind raced, weighing options as the figures approached, the shadows of their threats stretching longer with every passing second. They could run, but that held no promise of victory. They needed to fight. "Follow my lead," Sam said, his voice steady. "Trust me." As he peered around the tree, he felt the pulse of urgency thrumming beneath his skin. They were at a crossroads, a fight or flight moment where every decision mattered. What would they choose? Sam took a steadying breath, already knowing that this was not just about survival. It was about standing tall against the looming darkness. And just when he thought they might finally engage, a chilling laugh broke the tension, echoing through the park, and another voice called out, "Look who we have here. Ready to join us for the show?" This wasn't just a fight anymore, it was about to become a full-blown war. Would Sam find a way to rally his people and face this terror head-on before it was too late? As tension crackled in the air, the question loomed larger than life: could they truly prevail against the shadows encroaching on their unity? Mia's grip tightened around Sam's arm as they crouched behind the tree, adrenaline coursing through their veins. The armed figures advanced, their boots striking the ground like thunder. Sam felt his heart pounding, each beat echoing in his eardrums. He peered into the darkness, searching for a glimmer of hope, a sign that they weren't alone, that they still had allies. "Think, Sam. What do we have?" Mia whispered urgently, her eyes darting back to him. "Distraction," he replied quickly. "If we can create some chaos, it might buy us time." He glanced around, spotting nearby park benches and the remnants of a picnic left behind. "If we knock over those benches, it could draw their attention away from us." Mia nodded, fear giving way to resolve. "Let us do it." They shared a brief glance, a silent understanding passing between them. In the face of the unknown, they were in this together. Sam glanced one last time at the approaching figures, waiting for just the right moment. With a swift motion, Sam launched himself from behind the tree, sprinting toward the nearest bench. He pushed it hard, and it toppled over with a crash. The sound echoed through the park, startling the armed figures. Sam caught a glimpse of surprise on their faces as they turned toward the noise. "Over there," one of them shouted, pointing in Sam's direction. "Now," he yelled to Mia, who was already moving with him. They ran deeper into the shadows, hearts racing. The cool night air felt electric around them, a cocktail of fear and excitement. They darted through the trees. Sam thought of the families still in the park. They couldn't abandon them. He pulled Mia to a stop, panting heavily. "We have to get them out. We have to warn them. They'll never listen to us," Mia said, glancing back toward where the chaos had settled. "What can we say that will make any difference?" Sam took a deep breath, centering himself. "We tell them the truth, that the fear they're feeling is real, but if we stay united, we can push back. It starts here, tonight." Mia's face softened, determination reshaping her features. "Okay, let us find the others." They moved stealthily, creeping through the dark spaces between the trees. Every rustle felt amplified. Suddenly, out of the shadows emerged a small group of their neighbors' families lying low, peering out from behind bushes and picnic tables. The strained faces lit up with recognition when they spotted Sam and Mia. "Sam? Mia?" one of the fathers whispered incredulously. "What is going on?" "Listen," Sam urged, stepping closer. "We don't have much time. There are armed men in the park. We need to gather everyone that's left and get them to safety." Whispers erupted among them, panic overrunning reason. Sam held up a hand to silence them. "I know it's scary, but if we stay together, they can't break us." We've faced more together than any of them have ever seen. The tension in the air shifted slightly. A spark of rebellion ignited in their eyes. "We're with you," one mother declared, her voice filled with newfound strength. They quickly strategized, voices intermingling in a collective murmur as they hatched a plan. Sam, Mia, and the others would create a diversion while the families moved toward the exits. Each heartbeat thrummed with the weight of their emerging unity as they prepared to face the looming darkness head-on. They would stand together, no matter what came at them. As Sam took his place at the front of the group, he caught Mia's gaze. "Ready?" She nodded, determination etched on her face. "Always." But before they could move, a voice boomed from behind them, sending chills down their spines. "You really think you can escape? We control this entire area." The dread swept through them, but within the fear, a flicker of defiance ignited. This was their home. They wouldn't let it slip away without a fight. "Get ready," Sam shouted, adrenaline surging as the first figure emerged from the darkness to confront them. Could Sam and his neighbors truly rally together and tackle the looming threat? The battle for their community was about to begin, but would they have the strength to take the first step? The tension snapped in the air like a taut wire. Sam's heart raced as he faced the looming figure, the threats hanging thick around them. He focused on the man's eyes, cold and calculating. An army of fear marched through the neighbors' expressions. His job was to convert that fear into action. "Listen, we can't let them intimidate us," Sam shouted, every ounce of conviction spilling into his voice. "This is our park, our community. We take a stand now, or we lose everything." Mia stepped forward beside him, her earlier fear melting away into fierce determination. "We have to move fast. We need to get the families to safety before they realize we're here." Sam saw the flicker of resolve spark in their neighbor's eyes. He felt the energy shift. Who would have thought that they'd find strength together in times of danger? It was more than just a park they were fighting for. It was their home, their lives. "On my count," he said, glancing at Mia for backup as he steadied himself. 3, 2, 1, distract. A collective surge pushed through the group. Sam jumped into action, running toward the nearest armed figure, throwing up his hands. "Over here. Look at me. Come on. I'm unarmed." The figure turned, startled. Sam could almost see the gears turning in his brain. He felt the rush of adrenaline. His voice cracked, fueled by fear but grounding within the gravity of the moment. Mia was beside him, pulling others to follow suit. Chaos erupted as families began to scatter, some shouting, others stumbling over picnic blankets. The noise echoed through the park, enhancing their cover as they fought to draw attention away. Move. Go. Sam called to the families, ushering their terrified faces toward the exit. Every second felt stretched thin. They pressed deeper into the shadows, gathering their strength. Suddenly, the night lit up with shouts. Shadows darted in their direction. Sam's stomach dropped. In that split second, he realized they might not only be running for their own lives, but also for those they had tried to protect. Mia caught his eye then, urgency plain on her face. What now? She cried as fear mixed with determination. We keep moving, Sam shouted back, voice steady despite the tremors inside him. We have to find safer ground. Head toward the playground there's a better vantage point. Just as they turned, the first armed figure barreled towards them, pointing a flashlight. Sam's heart sank, but impulsively, he grabbed Mia and shouted, keep running. They darted into the maze of park bushes, their breath hitching in their throats as the sounds of pursuit echoed behind them. Running had never felt so visceral, every footfall a drumbeat of survival. Stay close. Mia gasped. I can't lose you now. They zigzagged in a frantic path as branches whipped at their arms. Sam focused on the distant glow of the park exit, their beacon of hope. So close, and yet so far. He could feel the weight of his resolve anchoring him. With one last push, they burst into an open space. The playground loomed before them, its bright colors stark against the darkened park. It was a strange comfort in the middle of chaos, a place where laughter once thrived. Mia, Sam said, pausing for a moment to catch his breath. We need to rally our people again. If we can reach the gate together, we can hold them off. But just as they turned to regroup with their neighbors, a piercing scream shattered the night. It sent ice through Sam's veins. Mom! A child's voice cried out from the other side. Everything inside him twisted. Mia locked eyes with Sam, horror dawning on both of them. They had to choose rescue the frightened child or go for the others. They were at a crossroads of survival. Sam, we can't just leave her. Mia shouted, desperation breaking through. The haunting cry lingered in the air, each second counting. The choice lay heavy between them. Would they risk everything for one child? What would their answer reveal about who they truly were? Instinctively, Sam's heart answered. They had to act. What would they do next? The decision loomed larger than anything they had faced before. What price would they pay to save a life? As the piercing scream echoed through the park, time seemed to freeze. Sam's heart hammered in his chest. The terrified cry from the child cut through the chaos, resonating deep within him. It woke a sense of purpose he had barely acknowledged until now. He felt the weight of the moment. They couldn't just turn their backs. Let us go, he yelled, his voice breaking the stunned silence that had temporarily claimed them both. He didn't have to look at Mia. He knew she felt it too. The instinct to protect, to stand up against the darkness. Together, they charged toward the sound. Propelled by adrenaline and fear, they pushed through the underbrush, heartbeats thumping in unison as they zigzagged toward the playground. Shadows danced as flashlights flickered ominously behind them. But Sam couldn't let that deter him. There was a child in need. That single thought burned brightly, guiding their path like a beacon as they broke through to the other side of the playground. They found the child no older than 5 cowering behind a swing set. Her wide eyes sparkled with unshed tears and fear. Sam felt his heart ache. It's okay, he called softly, crouching down to her level. We're here to help you. What is your name? Ruby, she whimpered, shaking and clutching her teddy bear like a lifeline. Ruby, you're going to be all right. You see that gate? We're going to get you there. Just hold my hand. Sam extended his arm, and after a heartbeat of hesitation, she reached out, her small hand slipping into his. Mia nodded at him, urgency painted across her features. We need to move, now? But just as they turned, the firm thud of boots approached, echoing through the playground. Sam felt a rush of panic. Half their escape depended on stealth, and now the element of surprise was slipping away fast. We need a distraction, he shouted, scanning the area. Follow me. Mia waved, dashing toward a nearby climbing structure. As Sam and Ruby raced after her, Mia began to climb, her goal to heighten their position against the threshold of danger. Sam followed, thinking of the eyes watching from beneath the shadows. From the top of the structure, Mia threw her voice. Hey, over here, she shouted, catching the attention of the armed figures, who turned with surprise. If you want the kid, come get her. Are you crazy? Sam exclaimed. It's a gamble, but it'll buy us time. She reasoned, a determined fire lighting her eyes. He felt torn, but as he glanced back at Ruby, her innocent face mirrored the courage he needed. Okay, Mia, just hold on. Together, they descended the climbing structure in haste, Ruby clinging tightly to Sam. He steered her around the outer side of the playground where the lights flickered, illuminating the path toward the gates. Stay low, Ruby. But the moment of reprieve was short-lived. As if summoned by fate, the armed figures moved like wolves, fanning out across the open space, their intentions clear. Stop right there. One of them barked, finger nearing the trigger. Sam's heart lurched, fueled by adrenaline and the protective instincts he never knew he had. Run. He yelled at Mia and Ruby. He stepped in front of them, arms spread in defiance. Sam, what are you doing? Mia pleaded, panic bursting from her voice. But he felt resolute. I'll hold them off. Just get her out. His pulse raced, and a part of him feared he might shatter under the weight of courage. He was just a janitor at heart, one who had never imagined he'd find himself at the center of such a fierce confrontation. Go, he ordered, raw determination pouring from every fiber of his being. With one last glance, Mia took Ruby's hand, and they ran, a flicker of trust glimmering in their eyes. Sam turned to face the advancing figures, heart pounding like drums. If you want her, he shouted defiantly, you'll have to come through me first. The figures exchanged looks, an unyielding tension building in the air. Samuel felt the ground beneath him shift. The fight wasn't just for Ruby anymore. It was a plea for everyone who had ever struggled against fear, loss, or neglect. But from the shadows, a familiar face emerged, the dark figure he had seen watching earlier. The same menacing voice echoed, "This is not where you want to stand, janitor." Sam's lips tightened into a grim line. I have to defend what's right. You can threaten me all you want, but I'll never back down. The armed figures advanced, their faces tainted with anger. Sam held his ground, a whirlwind of emotions swirling in his chest. He felt no fear at that moment, only a strange sense of strength. He knew this wasn't just for Ruby. This was for every family, every broken soul seeking justice in a world designed to crush dreams. And as the figures closed in, a raucous cheer erupted from behind Sam. A group of neighbors emerged through the shadows, their faces alight with fierce resolve. They must have heard the commotion and understood that camaraderie pulsed stronger than fear. Together, Sam shouted, igniting the flame of unity once more, and they rallied around him, refusing to let darkness take root. We fight as one. And just like that, Sam felt the tide of hope swell within him as the battle began, a powerful reminder that even in the bleakest of circumstances, heroes rise from the unlikeliest of places. In that moment, he knew they were not just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting for their community, for the very heart and soul of every individual who had ever been silenced. The battle was just beginning, and their voices would echo far and wide, even if they had to do it against the shadows. This was not just a moment, it was the turning point every one of them had been waiting for. And in the face of adversity, they would shine brighter than ever before. With that, the fight for justice and truth surged forward as one. Now it's your turn. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that could ignite the light of hope in your heart. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and ensure this story reaches those who need it most. Your support makes a difference. Comment below and share your reactions, feelings, and thoughts about this powerful ending. And whatever you do, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. You need to show your support. This is the moment. Don't wait, not even one more second, to spread the word.